Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
This is fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans.
They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code play100. That's code play100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Hello and welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. Over the next 3 podcasts, I want to take you on a special journey to Birdsville races in Queensland, Australia, the outback town with a population of about 100, which swells to over 5,000 at their 2-day race meeting in early September. Known as the Melbourne Cup of the Outback, the Birdsville Cup is celebrating its 140th anniversary in 2022. And in part 1, I was joined by the Birdsville Race Club Vice President, Gary Brook, to talk about an event unlike any other. In part 2, you will hear from spectators about the journey to Birdsville. It's the ultimate road trip to the races in the nation's heart. In the final part, I spoke to current Birdsville Cup winning jockey Brook Richardson and veteran jockey John Keating, who are both chasing Cup glory on Saturday, September the 3rd. Let's hear from Gary. Thanks for joining me, Gary.
It's a pleasure. Good to be here.
Well, Birdsville races is a real family affair for you, isn't it? You're the vice president, but it goes back in the ages for the Brook family.
Yeah, look, it is. My father's David is the president. My sister Jenna is the treasurer. Previously, my mother Nell has been president or secretary, and my grandfather and other family members have been involved in generations before.
And the first obvious question for listeners in the UK is, where is Birdsville?
Some people will say Birdsville's in the middle of nowhere, but we like to say Birdsville's in the middle of everywhere. It is very much in the heart of Australia. It's on the edge or really in the Simpson Desert, on the border of Queensland and South Australia and near the Northern Territory. So we've got the Simpson Desert on one side, Sturt Stony Desert on the other. We're about 1,200 kilometres north of Adelaide, 1,600 kilometres west of Brisbane. So we are very much in the heart of Australia.
Well, I've got UK listeners now getting their maps out now and atlases to try and work out where Birdsville is, because you live in Adelaide, is that right?
I do live in Adelaide. Grew up in Birdsville, but currently residing in Adelaide, and looking forward to getting home for the Birdsville races very soon.
And it's the 140th anniversary of the Birdsville Cup this year. How has it grown into the iconic race, which some people call the Melbourne Cup of the Outback?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. I think it's just got this really unique and unusual draw card. There's not really a race meeting that is so remote that people would travel so far, so long to get to. So the journey is part of the experience of the Birdsville races, and it has been going for 140 years, since 1882, when a group of 20 odd people formed what was then known as the Border Jockey Club and held the first race meeting. And look, it grew and grew. Probably was mainly a locals meeting, I think, until the 70s, late 70s, when in 1978, the then sitting Prime Minister Malcolm Fraser attended the Birdsville races. And that probably brought with it a lot of media attention, a lot of following, and people sort of started to ask the question of what's all this about? And from there, we held our centenary meeting in 1982. And really has just grown and grown from there, whether it be people flying in light aircraft, bus tours, vehicles. It's become this very much an annual pilgrimage. And I've described it as almost like the great wildebeest migration in Africa, where, you get these swarms of four-wheel drives and people that are all congregating and all going, meandering their way from the coast, from the freezing cold of Victoria and the New South Wales high country that'd be cold at the moment, and really looking forward to getting some warmth in Australia's outback. And they just all make their way to Birdsville and set up camp on the edge of a Diamantina River for whether it be a couple of nights or a couple of weeks, and take it all in as the town grows and the region experiences just a festival of fun.
And the journey really is part of it, whether you come by car, four-wheel drive, or even fly in, isn't it?
Oh, it is. And I think, that's really what makes it so special, is everyone will have a story to tell from their journey. Everyone's done something slightly different, or had a challenge with a road, or experienced a sight from the air that, perhaps no one's seen before. So, people will connect with others that are traveling to Birdsville at places en route. They'll enjoy festivities in towns en route. So it's not like one of those events where you rock up at lunchtime and you go home in the evening and say that was a great 5 hours. This is something where you're talking about, days, if not weeks. So there really is a story to tell, and it's just a great way to make memories. Yeah, look, there's so many stories, whether it's people that have been coming to the Birdsville races for 30 or 40 years, locals that have never missed one in their lifetime, or travellers that have been, waiting a lifetime to come. Everyone has their story, and I think that's what makes Birdsville so special.
And you've got an airfield as well, close to the racecourse.
Yeah, look, one of the few places you can literally park your plane and walk across the road to the pub, and that's not a word of a lie. You literally can do that. Fantastic airfield. There's a 1,700 metre sealed runway, so you can land some large aircraft there. But it is a place that attracts the light aircraft pilots, and people can come along, park their plane, sleep in Tent City across the road from the airport, and jump in and fly home again. But whether it be a small aircraft or people charter their planes out of the capital cities and so forth, it is an interesting place to visit. And right now in Australia, you have these beautiful channel country that it has flooded. And flooded I say that in a good way, just beautiful greenery, bird life, water running into Lake Eyre. Right now, there's probably never been a better time to fly into Birdsville.
And last year's winning jockey, Brook Richardson, she spoke to me, and she flew in and flew out on race day last year en route to her victory on Echo Point. Yeah,
kind of ironic. Brook wasn't actually even meant to ride at Birdsville or in that race, and the very event that we postponed due to COVID, it turns out that the jockey that was scheduled to ride Echo Point got COVID a few days before Birdsville. So Brooke got the late call up, and she has done a lot of work with Todd Austin, the trainer of Echo Point. And look, she was wrapped. I think she might have been in tears and a little bit emotional after that win, but it was really great to see Brooke. I mean, she's a fantastic jockey in regional Queensland, and great to see her get that reward at Birdsville.
We've been talking about members of the public getting there, but it must be an amazing achievement to get all the horses there as well.
Yeah, look, we have horses that come from across the country. We've got a trainer like Philip Cole coming down from Darwin with a team of 10 horses, and he'll be on the road for many weeks. He raced at Mount Isa last weekend, and even that is still 700 k's from Birdsville, so he'd probably be en route to Birdsville. We have people coming from Nyngan in sort of northern and central New South Wales, come up from Adelaide and surrounds in South Australia, the Sunshine Coast. So we have a 12-horse field for the Birdsville Cup, and it would not be uncommon if you added up the distance travelled for each of those horses. It would not be uncommon that those 12 horses would have travelled 10,000 kilometres together collectively just to make the Birdsville Cup. So it is something that is unique, and I dare say there wouldn't be many races in the world where you'd have horses that would have travelled that far to make it.
Yeah, that's quite staggering inside one country as well. What facilities are available to the spectators at the racetrack?
We would like to say that the racetrack is somewhere where you can get in touch with nature. There's not a great deal of facilities. There is a grandstand, but that's, again, probably a generous term. It consists of 3 levels. And when I say 3 levels, I talk about 3 benches that you can sit on. So the grandstand would seat about 50 people out of the 4,000 or 5,000 that are there. But other than that, there's just some shade. There's a couple of sheds, shelters. There's a bar, a bookies ring, a mounting yard, stables for the horses, and so forth. Unfortunately, there's no trees there under it, but the racecourse itself is situated on a natural clay pan, and the spectators are on a sandhill, really. It gives you some nice elevated views, beautiful wide open spaces looking west as they run around and the dust flies up. So it's a very unique track, but pretty simple, and it needs to be simple. It's a track that only gets used 2 days a year, so you can't overcapitalise, but there's enough there to keep people happy and safe, but also allow them to experience what is the heart of, I guess, racing in outback Australia.
And do some of them dress up as well?
Yeah, look, we've got 2 days of racing, and we really promote the first day, and we have what we call a novelty fashion to the field, and you'll get people coming in costumes and something for a bit of fun, whether it be a chicken suit or Where's Wally, and you find that people travel in groups. So you often get groups of 4 or 6 or 10 or 12 that are traveling together. It might be a buck show, a hen show, or just a group of friends. So they might all dress up. They'll get T-shirts made for the trip, Birdsville or Bust and things like that. So they'll all dress up for the novelty fashions on the field. And then come Cup Day, the next day, you really do get people. The ladies will dress up. Fashions on the field is hotly contested. It's a genuine competition that would be, the winners would be well placed in any metropolitan fashions on the field, but people will get dressed up in shirts and ties and hats and so forth. But it is unique also in the Birdsville. It really doesn't matter. You can be, if you rock up in shorts and thongs or flip flops or whatever you want to call them, and a singlet, you're as comfortable as a person sitting next to you in a suit and tie. And I think that's part of the magic of Birdsville, that it really doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, or what you're wearing. You're happy to be there, and people are happy to have a chat to you. It's the only place I think I've ever been to where people want to buy you a beer. Normally you go into a pub and the last thing people want to do is buy the next person a beer. But in Birdsville, you rock up to the bar and someone will turn to you and go, "G'day, mate, how you going? What's your name? Where you from? Can I buy you a beer?" It's really unique in that regard.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
And Gary, I hear a celebrity coming this year to the races. Ideal for this podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we always have one or two that it's part of their bucket list. We've had Peter Moody for a lot of years, and everybody would know him as famous trainer and trainer of Black Caviar that won at Royal Ascot. But this year, Glenn McGrath is coming. World famous cricketer, one of the fastest bowlers of all time. Dominated the English at Lord's one day, if I don't recall.
Yeah, he bowled us out for less than 100. I was there that day. I was on a Saturday as well.
Better than his other experience, I think, of rolling his ankle on a ball. But no, he's got a tour company, Outback by Air, runs a lot of tours to Outback Australia. Pub tours would be very much. There'd be a lot of English that would like to get on that tour. So he's bringing a group out, and we're very much looking forward to welcoming him to the Birdsville races very soon.
Well, hopefully Glenn will be wearing pink on the day for the McGrath Foundation.
I'm sure he will. Look, does a wonderful job for the McGrath Foundation. Obviously, something that him and his late wife, or recognising the work of his late wife. So I'm sure there'll be a touch of pink for him and many of his tour members.
Well, I hope he has a good day.
I'm sure he will. It's always a challenge to beat the bookies, but I'm sure he'll do well.
I was also thinking about the facilities for the racegoers when they arrive. You said there's tents and there's some also powered areas as well, aren't there?
Yeah, look, there's probably three main locations that people stay. There's really no roofed accommodation in Birdsville. So no buildings you can stay in over race week, because those that do have accommodation, the Birdsville Hotel, Birdsville Caravan Park and so forth, they're actually all occupied by the staff that are needed to put on the event. So that's gone. So you will be camping if you're coming to Birdsville. You can go for Tent City. Tent City is just a setup that we call where the tents are all set up for you. You come in, you pay your money. You've got a stretcher bed, a mattress, quilt, pillow and a tent and so forth, and access to toilets and showers. I mentioned the caravan or the tourist park. Again, you can have powered and unpowered sites overlooking the beautiful Birdsville Billabong. Or the stretch of road in between Birdsville and the race course, and there's about a mile there either side of the road with some water. That's free camping, so people can go out there. There's access to some water to fill up your water tanks. There's toilets and showers that are provided by the local council, but that camping's free. We run shuttle buses in and out of the town over the course of a few days, so it's not far anyway. It's only a few hundred metres, or at worst a mile to walk. So some people will walk, other people will catch a shuttle buses, and it's a first in, first serve. So you do get the regulars, and there are some that have been coming for 20 or 30 years that even now, days out from the event, they will have been there for some weeks. They will have had their sight, and they'll be, just enjoying watching the world go by, maybe reading a good book and enjoying the sunset and the sunrises.
In our next pod to the Outback, you will hear from photographer Sharon Lee Chapman, who can't wait to get there.
I look forward to every year. We count down the days, and the last 2 years has been, obviously, we thought we might be going last year, but then it got cancelled again quite late in the proceedings. So it's been a long time between drinks at the Birdsville pub.
And there's lots of entertainment as well with the boxing. There's a gala, and there's also a fun run, isn't there?
Yeah, look, just to keep. I mean, there really is lots of things to see and do in the Outback anyway. But we have a fun run, just a bit of a 5 kilometre fun run or walk, whatever you'd like to do, a stroll around town and down to the river and so forth, raising a bit of money for the Royal Flying Doctor Service, which is a pivotal aeromedical service in Australia. We also have a charity gala, an auction, charity auction, really celebrating, that's an opportunity for people to get dolled up and enjoy themselves. And then there's live entertainment throughout the weekend. It's a bit of a carnival atmosphere. The street has some food stalls and souvenir stalls. The hotel has live entertainment every night and in the afternoons. And then you mentioned Fred Brophy's boxing troupe. It is the last travelling boxing troupe in Australia, if not the world, I think, where he has his fighters, and there's literally a mat rolled out on a bit of dirt, which is the ring. And people can challenge one of his fighters to 3 1-minute rounds of boxing. It's a bit of fun, if you know how to handle yourself, you'll have a good fight, but you also won't get knocked around. So, they'll certainly fight to your ability. But look, it's not uncommon for one of his boxers to go down in a contest, and Aussies love to support the underdog, so it's often the challengers that get the most support by the crowd.
And moving ahead then to the race, the race meeting, How far are you with plans? You're sort of finalising everything now ahead of the Friday the 2nd and Saturday the 3rd?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, things are pretty much in place now. So, most equipment has arrived in Birdsville. The staff are there. They're starting to set up. For those familiar with events, the bump in and bump out, I suppose. So the only thing that we can't control now is the weather. But it is looking good, I would say, looking like some beautiful temperatures in the mid-20s, which, you really can't get better at this time of year. So, no, look, we're pretty pleased where things are at. Looks like we'll have a good crowd coming from across the country. And we're just looking forward. Hopefully everyone gets to Birdsville and gets home safely, and we have some great racing and entertainment in the middle.
Yeah, what sort of crowd are you expecting? Because you had a meeting in April because you didn't have racing in 2020 and 2021. So it's the second Birdsville Cup in a year.
It is, yeah. First time we've ever done that. A bit unique. We felt last year when we decided to postpone it, if they can postpone the Olympics by a year, well, we should be able to postpone the Birdsville races. So that's what we did, and we held an unusual and unprecedented racing in April. Look, it wasn't a big crowd. That was probably half a normal crowd. But come September, we think we'll be back around closer to our normal crowd in the 5,000, maybe 6. I mean, you never know in this current climate with the impacts of COVID and so forth. And obviously, flu during the winter months, there's always those risks. But at this stage, our ticket sales are really strong and certainly comparable with any year pre-COVID. So if we get that and we get that crowd in the 5,000 or 6,000, given the last couple of years of COVID, we'll be really pleased.
Well, the very best of luck. It's the 140th anniversary this year of the Birdsville Cup. Run over 1,600 metres, as you all Aussies say, but for us Brits, it's over a mile. And you said you got 12 runners hope to line up for the big race.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. No, very much looking forward to it. Hopefully it's a safe and successful race, and there'll be another person holding what, for most of the trainers that come to Birdsville, it is their holy grail.
Yeah, I know one of the guests on the 2 podcasts I'm doing about Birdsville, John Keaton, he's been second before, and he's dying to, if he gets a chance, to win the Birdsville Cup.
Yeah, look, John's been coming. I mean, he probably travels as far as any jockey. Travels up, drives himself, all the way from Victoria. So, it'll be 2 or 3 days drive for him to get there, which I'm sure he's told you. He comes up for our circuit, desperate to win the Birdsville Cup. But as is everyone, it's not an easy race to win. Some might think, look, you're only running in the country and it's easy, but I can tell you everyone that every one of those 12 horses, they would think they've got a chance to win it.
Well, thanks for joining me, Gary. It sounds like a unique event, an event for any racing fan's bucket list. Absolutely. No, they should. Even if you're in Britain, never a better time. If you obviously they might not get there this year, but lock it in, plan the trip, and a great place to travel on the first Saturday in September. Well, thank you very much for joining me on the Paddock and the Pavilion. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at The Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.